Greetings, DeSoto Eagles. This is Sean Joseph, your building principal. We know October 19th, we start with our ninth graders. So we are very excited to have our ninth graders return to campus. About 150 have selected to come back out of the 700. So we are excited to have them on campus. But before you come back on campus, we thought it'd be great if I had a Q&A with one of our secondary students. And so we have a guest interviewer, and he's going to fire away some questions as they pop up in the chat. And then I'm going to answer those questions here. And of course, this video is posted on YouTube. A link will be sent to parents as well via email, so you're able to access it. I will say this, sometimes information changes. So I will answer questions as of today, right? And then if something changes, we'll try and quickly get you information in an email to let you know where and if an updated answer or if an answer changes to the FAQ. But so we have questions coming in. What's the first question?
Why are we phasing in the students returning to campus?
Okay, all right. Why are we phasing in students returning to campus? Well, one of the key reasons why we phase in students, we have such a large campus that if everybody returned at once, we really would try and teach procedures to about 500 students. That's 1 in 6 students. So one of the ways we're able to really teach procedures, especially with COVID. COVID is very, very serious, is that we're bringing in smaller groups. So we're just one grade level at a time. And then we get a week to work with that grade level on procedures. We also get an opportunity to see where we need to add either additional cleaning or if we need to add someone, add an additional door based on where we are and with the whole COVID procedure. So the phase in is really needed. And then on the 26th, we'll have 10th graders. And then by November, we'll have 11th and 12th graders that have selected to return. And the selection period is fairly important too. So we'll probably get into some of that for those that may want to return. But excellent question. We phase in for safety reasons. Next question.
Would DeSoto ISD require health screenings for students and staff?
Absolutely. Texas Education Agency and our state officials have given us guidance on that, and they have actually stated that we have the right to ask people to self-screen, which means daily you're checking for symptoms of COVID. Also means for our campus, we have designated entrances. For instance, there's only 3 places really where our staff will enter on the main campus, and then 1 door on the freshman campus. But those are staff members who screen prior to coming in, and then they will be there to check temperatures and screen staff members as they come in. For our students, we have a similar setup. There are three places they can enter the building. Freshman side, door 1, main campus side, door 3, that's into the gym, and then on the academy side, door 19. And those are the only 3 authorized entrances for our students. Just very important because we're able to screen as students enter, but we're also asking students and staff to self-screen.
Will students receive copies of the schedule?
No, we will not be issuing paper copies of the schedule. As you know, this is week 9. So you know your schedule, you know your classes and the order in which you have those classes. And also in Parent Portal, the room number is listed as well. So, and I've seen the last 2 school years when we had normal starts, our students access their schedule digitally anyway, which is why we open them up that Sunday night before school. And so you know which room numbers. The other thing is, because you're in a small group, if a student should get lost, we have ample staff to direct you to the right location to find your classroom. So we won't be printing paper and then exchanging paper. That's one of the things about face-to-face instruction. Students on campus won't receive paper either. They'll be working digitally from their laptops because we want to decrease the number of times we're exchanging items and thus decreasing the risk of spreading COVID.
Why has the school day been suspended?
Oh, awesome question, because I know we started with this 8 to 12 50-minute periods, 4 50-minute periods, but then we had these specialized blocks at the end of the day. And a lot of people treated those specialized blocks as, oh, it's all bets are off. It's time for me to go home. But that wasn't the case. And for our students, we don't have, I don't want to go to tutoring, so I'm going to go ahead on and just take the rest of the day. We really should have held to that because we're not extending the day. We've just structured the rest of the day. We had blocks where we had tutoring, and we said, okay, you would go to tutoring from 2 to 3:20. Now it's not optional because we have a class in that time period. Another reason we're extending the school day is with face-to-face instruction and having as many students as we'll have on campus, they are going to be following their routine schedule. As such, students at home, you will also follow the normal posted schedule. Now, you may not remain in the Zoom. I have students in school as well. My sons typically start off and they may do the first 40, 45 minutes, half of that class, and the teacher says, okay, here's your independent practice. You're welcome to stay on the Zoom because I'm here to answer all your questions. But if you feel like you can do your independent practice by yourself, you're welcome to do that as well. So there's flexibility still in the system, but we will adhere to those start times because second semester, whether we are virtual or face-to-face, that will be our schedule. And so you got to just get in the routine of those numbers of starting at those times. And then you'll see that we now run an A, B, and a C schedule. So on C day, you went to all 8 classes and completed assignments. Now there's a structured way in which you will complete those assignments. That's the only difference. On C day before, you could start with 8th period if you wanted to, and then go to first period, and then go to third period. Well, now on C day, there's a set time for those teachers to open their Zoom classrooms on Fridays. So Monday, Wednesday, always A days. Tuesday, Thursday, always B days. So Tuesday, Thursday, always B days. Every Friday is a C day, and that's for the first semester. And so we've also posted that schedule online, and there will be a copy sent home to parents. So you'll be able to go to our website and see it.
How will breakfast and lunch be served?
Okay, very good question. Very good question. So we plan to open our cafeterias, and by November, all 3 cafeterias will be open. Breakfast will be in the cafeteria, and so will lunch. We will have you socially distanced. Just a second. We will have you socially distanced. I think the key to remember for breakfast and lunch is that it's not going to look the same. And you all know with COVID, it can't look the same. So we have limited the number of chairs at the tables. We won't allow chairs to be moved to other tables. So you can't take a table that's set for a maximum of 4 and then add 4 more chairs and get 8 people at that table. That's going to be a safety protocol violation. So while you will be able to eat in the cafeteria and for breakfast and lunch, there are still restrictions on the movement. You won't be able to walk from table to table. That's not going to be allowed because as a safety protocol, you go to one place and you go to the next. That doesn't work. So you'll have a seat, you'll have your breakfast, your lunch, and then you'll return to the classroom. How will arrival and dismissal work? Well, so we've set up, and we're sending a map home as well, for our students to be dropped off in one of 3 areas. And basically for our parents, we simplify the process. So drop-offs will occur in the horseshoe in front of the freshman building, the horseshoe on the main side of campus off Eagle Drive, and then the horseshoe in the academy side where the tennis courts are. If you're in a horseshoe, then you're able to be dropped off as a student, and that's also where you will enter the building as well. So you'll be able to enter their door numbers in those particular areas. But we'll allow students to enter, we will screen, and then we'll direct them to the cafeteria or the gym. If they're not going, if it's prior to 7:15, they will be in a holding area, but it will be a very large holding area in which students will be required to socially distance.
Has the early college dual credit schedules changed?
Great question. That is a great question. Thanks, whoever submitted that in the chat. Thank you for that question. So what we had to do, because Cedar Valley has adjusted their schedule for us, so now at this point, there are certain classes that will change start times and others that won't. So we are recording all of our sessions. So if you have a college class and it may conflict with one of our campus classes by 30 minutes or so, that won't be a major concern because we are recording our campus sessions. And so for that particular student, we expect the college or dual credit students and our early college students to attend the college class as first priority. And then we'll make sure you have access to recording for the second class. And if you're on campus, and you certainly have the time in your schedule because of the length of the classes, to go back and capture whatever you need. We're committed to working with our Cedar Valley partners for the remainder of this particular fall semester. And there's not very many weeks left. As you know, there's only 7 weeks left in their semester. So we don't have much time in terms of being flexible and working with them. Our partners, we partner together, so we'll be able to work that out. That won't be a major concern. And then second semester, we'll be fully aligned. Again.
Will students be required to wear a face
Huh. Yeah, that's a question I've seen in several districts. Several districts have that question. Just and it keeps coming up. The answers are the same. Again, TEA has provided guidance that allows districts to require students to wear a face mask. And at the high school level, you'll be required to wear the face mask throughout the day. You cannot enter the building without a face covering. And so if you have a face shield, that will not suffice. You will need to have a face mask. Now, you may wear both, but you must have a face mask that meets the standards for entry in order to be on campus, to enter the building, and then it has to stay on throughout the day. It will come off if you're drinking or eating or an activity that are designated. For instance, if you are in tennis, you're not required to wear a face mask while you're outside practicing tennis. But certainly in our classrooms, you're required to have the face mask on. Excellent question.
Will attendance and gradings change?
Attendance and grading will not change going forward. So we know there's an addendum to grading. We're making sure that everything on the website lines up, because that's been some confusing information when you look at the end of the 6 weeks, and the addendum is out there. So the addendum will be the policy we follow going forward. And then we're going to make sure that everything aligns to that addendum. And then we're also committed, though, that where errors are made, where there's conflicts, that we're committed to reaching consensus on those, because we're not here to hurt kids. That's not our job. We're here to see our kids excel. We want to make sure we are an instrument of productivity for this community, certainly not a drain on the community. So I can't imagine an educator entering DeSoto High School that has that mindset of being negative or making it extremely hard or making students suffer. That has no place, especially in pandemic times, to be here with that type of mindset. Our mindset is one of growth. And we want students to persevere. We want parents to be supportive, but we want our educators to understand the crisis we're in, an unprecedented pandemic time that we're in, and recognize that if we've missed an assignment, that our first thought isn't that the student is lazy or they purposely missed it, that we want to reach out and make sure, hey, you missed an assignment. Is everything okay? Because it could be we don't have electricity, we don't have internet, we don't have food. Is everything okay first and foremost? And then talk about how we recover. And I've always gone by the philosophy that in life, others have given us an opportunity, right? If there's no one with us today that has walked this earth that can say they didn't need a second chance, that they did everything right the first time. And so the grading guidelines, the addendum, are set up in the spirit of let's give students a second chance, especially during the pandemic. We want to hold them accountable. You're going to have to learn the objective. You're going to have to test on the objective. You're going to have projects with the objective. You won't be exempt from doing the work. But during pandemic times, we need to also have some reasonable assurance that we can all reach consensus and have common ground. So they won't change, but we'll follow what has recently been posted in regards to attendance and grading. What else is in the chat?
How many students will be allowed in the classroom, and will physical barriers or partitions be used?
Right now, we're estimating that most classrooms we're able to socially distance 12 to 14 students. So We do have a good number of our students. We have 83% of our students have elected to stay at home and learn virtually. So at this time, there's not a crunch in those classrooms because we feel we can get 12 to 14 students in there socially distanced just fine. Because of the small numbers, we are not putting up partitions. So you will not see face barrier, the shields around desks or in the aisles or down the hall because of the small number of students we have. If it ever gets to a point where we are flipped and we're no longer looking at 17% on campus, but only 17% off campus, then that's a different story. And we need to reevaluate what we're doing. And we'll certainly reevaluate whether or not there's a vaccine and whether or not there's a bona fide treatment procedure. You know, all that plays into part into what we're doing. So we want to evaluate everything we're doing based on the current status of the pandemic. So at this time, with such small numbers, our desks will be positioned where students are at least 6 feet apart. That means that there's a desk there, there may be an X on that desk, and then you cannot sit at that particular desk.
What happens if there's a COVID spike?
Well, if there's a COVID spike and it's campus-wide, TEA has allowed districts to shut down the campus for up to 5 days for a deep clean. We will say that if a student contracts the virus, and we're notified about that, there's measures in place as far as contact tracing to see who's in close contact. Parents will be immediately notified. You will receive a letter if your child is not in close contact. For us, we want to call those that were in close contact so you receive that information. That's very, very critical to us. And then we do understand with our day, with a full structured day from 7:30 a.m. to 3:20 now, for our campus supervised students, that's an extended period to be on campus. And so we will be monitoring temperatures and symptoms throughout the day to try and mitigate any type of spread.
Will ID be required?
Oh, great question, but absolutely. Absolutely. If you have selected campus supervised learning and you're in the preceding week before your return, your grade level principals will reach out to you to come up to campus to get your ID. Students who select campus supervised learning will receive a badge that has campus supervised on it. You will have to show that badge in order to enter the building. You will have to wear the badge throughout the day to remain on campus and to enter classrooms, cafeterias, be in the hallway. If you do not have a badge on, there is very, very, very short leeway given for not wearing your ID. You need to have that ID on. Do not come to campus and refuse to wear your ID. If you refuse to wear your ID, you cannot attend campus supervised learning. And this is a great place to mention that per the safety protocol and the guidance issued by TEA, any student that refuses to follow a safety protocol can be assigned to virtual learning by the school. So we want to make sure we put that out there because I know we have students coming back to campus. You need to understand there's not a whole lot of drama taking place when we're dealing with a pandemic. The conversations are very, very short. It's wear your ID. No, I'm not. You cannot be in the building. And so there's no leeway. Everybody takes this pandemic extremely serious. And especially me as principal, I'm going to take the pandemic extremely serious. And I expect 100% compliance with every safety protocol we have in place.
What is the difference between prevention and mitigation?
Really good question. Really good question. Prevention allows us and gives the thought process that we are able to stop something from happening. Mitigation clearly draws that line for us, though. It clearly indicates to us that there are things that happen and we should not do certain things or engage in certain activities. That way we decrease the risk. We don't eliminate the risk, we decrease the risk. And that's very, very important because I've heard from some parents and the philosophy or the mindset that I'm going to send my child to school and you can, it's on the school to prevent the spread of COVID-19. There's not any scientists, there's not any medical minds that are of that opinion. And as I told my wife, for our own household, we have two middle school age children. One of the things that we were very clear about early on is understanding what is the safest place for our sons. And then every activity that we engage outside of the safest place, then we understand, we want to know how are we mitigating the risk of the spread of COVID-19. And so it becomes a personal level of accountability, because the school will always take these. We have hand sanitizers, we would require face masks, we're checking temperatures, we have increased cleaning schedule, an intense cleaning schedule. We're going to take every step we can to mitigate. What we want to do is mitigate. But at the end of the day, we have to have 100% follow our safety protocols. We have to implement mitigation, and it's still just mitigation. So what we do here going forward is that we look at the students we have, where they're walking, what classes they need to be in, and we want to create the safest environment for our teachers, our staff, and our students. And that is why we have the building closed. While students and staff and teachers will be in the building, all other operations will remain remote. There'll be no visitors on campus. We're allowing no guests on campus, because the risk we take will be the risk that we absolutely have to take. And so I'm so glad, I see there's one more question in the chat, and it's a question I'm going to reach out to that particular parent. I'm so glad you're able to join in the live today. And when we do the live broadcast and submit examples and our questions, and it's good feedback for us, I'm going to get with that parent right at the end of this meeting. But I wanted to have an opportunity to answer questions and to let you know how serious we are about your return. We can't wait to see you. We've seen some of our freshmen already coming up to get IDs. We're excited about October 19th. And we know it'll be a change. It will be a definite change in the length of the school day as far as structured activities that we are no longer opting out of. But certainly remember, we're still recording lessons. We're still in the Anytime, Anywhere learning platform, which means you can go back to a recorded lesson. If you need to miss a session and get an assignment submitted, you can still reach out to a teacher and say, I wasn't in Zoom today, but I got your assignment done, and be marked present. All those things are still there. The only difference is we'll have some students on campus. So continue to reach out, continue to give us feedback, and we hope you're having a wonderful year. As always, we ask that you please check your emails, because we send a lot of information via School Messenger. We've sent over 80 messages so far this school year via School Messenger. And then check the emails also for the weekly, the meetings we have with parents every 2 weeks by the grade level administrators. It's an excellent opportunity in the evening to ask your child's principal questions, because they are live there and they have a live Zoom session for you. So the next time we do a live, until that time, I said, let's go Eagles.